What's cracking, guys? Bruce Mattson here, your host of the show, Metric Scout Fantasy Football. Today, we're going to cover another Mel Kiper mock draft. And we're getting closer to the draft, so these mocks are going to be coming out at us left and right. And hopefully, they're going to be a little bit more accurate compared to ones we were combing through back in February. But again, we are just doing this activity where we just look at the landing spots of our dynasty assets and really just look at the values, try to peg what happens, and just use it as an exercise. Really, we're doing nothing here. The real thing's happening here in a few weeks, but this is just enough to get the gears greased. And with that being said, let's take a look at Mel Kiper's 2-round rookie mock draft. Here it is, the mock draft. It's on ESPN Plus, so if you don't got a sub, I got the hookup right here, and I'm going to slowly go through it, so if you want to see the O-line, the defensive players, you got it. Just pause it if I go too fast anywhere. You're all good. Let's read the title real quick. That'll give us an indication of any clickbait. So, NFL Mock Draft 2022. Mel Kiper's new predictions for the top 64 in rounds 1 and 2, including a first-round trade. So something with the trade, obviously, and then it's just because it's 2 rounds, pretty much. They're saying, hey, we got 2 rounds for you. Come look at our mock. We got 2 rounds. Let's dig in. So dropping down here, again, this is defense-heavy, offensive line-heavy, and it's going to be a few picks before we get to something. Jets going defense. Giants offensive line. And bam! Panthers going with a quarterback, Malik Willis. Quarterback from Liberty. Interesting spot here. Has DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson. Maybe you can spark something with Terrace Marshall. This could be an interesting landing spot. Especially it has Christian McCaffrey for at least a little bit longer to check the ball down to. So this could be a good situation for him, a good landing spot. Carolina needs quarterback play at the worst, at the most, and this could be a good spot for him. For Dynasty and Superflex leagues, he's either going to be 101, 102, 103 range, somewhere around there, depending on where the other players go. Breece Hall should be fighting for that 101 still, 101, 102, and it depends on if another contender jumps in, like say if someone goes to the Chiefs, and someone jumps on that, or someone goes to the Packers and someone jumps on that. But really, he's locked in for the 1 and 2, and he's going to be fighting for the 101, depending on how your league values quarterbacks and Superflex. Let's move on down here. Boom. Garrett Wilson to the Falcons. We've had him mocked here a few times. Him and Kyle Pitts, fun to watch. How will this team transition at quarterback? We got Mariota there for at least the first year or so that could be interesting. Very interesting landing spot. This gives them another Calvin Ridley-esque player. Not a comparison, but like an esque type of player where like you win on nuance, change of direction skills. He's got really good ball skills, so this could be a good fit. Matt Ryan's gone, but they could bring somebody in, and he has the chance to be the wide receiver 1 in that offense with Kyle Pitts helping him out a little bit. So this could be a good landing spot for him. Let's move on down here. Drake London to the Jets, which is going to be very interesting. I imagine how the big 3 wide receivers, Burks, Wilson, and London, that if he's going to the Jets, that he's going to be the lesser valued player by the market. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with catching him at a discount. Really depends on where Jameson Williams goes in the draft as well. If he goes to the Jets, him and Wilson connecting could be fun. You got Elijah Moore there too. This team's transitioning. This team's working on getting better. And they're not going to be your grandpa's New York Jets too much longer unless they fall on their face, which could happen. But they're at least trying. Drake London with a young quarterback who likes to sling it downfield could be a good match. Move on down here. More O-line, more defense. Chris Olave to the Eagles. We've seen this mocked a lot. I've seen this mocked so many times that I'm sick of it. Chris Olave, Devonta Smith. Chris Olave, Dallas Goedert. Chris Olave, Jalen Hurts. This is a weird feel. Can he be a wide receiver 1? I can make a case for that. I can argue it, but I don't really think that's likely. I don't think that's in the cards for him, especially in this spot. I think he can do it. I just think it's more like he's going to be trapped in that wide receiver 2 bubble, where he's at in that bubble. That's going to be interesting to say. But like my theory is, we have like 96 wide receiver 2s in the NFL, and they pop off and on at different times. Feel like he is a candidate to be in there, be a key contributor of that bubble. And with him going to the Eagles, he might not get the target share we're hoping for. I look for Devonta Smith to get a 20+% target share. I look for Dallas Goedert to get a sizable target share for a tight end. And I look for the running backs to get some targets. And I look for them to keep getting running backs who can catch the ball in the backfield. I look for Chris Olave hopefully fight for a 20% target share somewhere down the line. I think he's good. I think he can be a good wide receiver 2 for an NFL team. So with Devonta Smith taking the lead role, Chris Olave being the sidekick, this could be a good fit NFL-wise. Fantasy-wise, we just got to see what happens. I'm not totally in love with him going to the Eagles, but I really feel like, considering his talents, he could be a decent value in rookie drafts. Moving on down to the next pick. Jameson Williams to the Saints. Fast wide receiver. Very explosive. This is a low-key spot considering Jameis is back. And the fact that he likes to truck it downfield. And he's going to be playing on that fast track in New Orleans. That could aid to his long speed. Michael Thomas isn't getting any younger. So eventually he's going to carry the torch for the team, and the wide receiver department could be the team's wide receiver 1. We could see him become a breakout candidate earlier than expected, considering he's going to be getting snaps from the get-go once he's healthy. Low-key good landing spot for a guy like Jameson Williams. I don't know if I'm just turning around on this. There's a lot of ambiguity with his team as well. The cap issues, quarterback, long-term, what are they going to do, all that stuff. But I feel like this is a team that could put something together with Jameson. Jameson could be the lead dog here sooner than later. Move on down to the next pick. Kenny Pickett to the Steelers. This is the best spot for him. He's not moving far from his original destination in Pitt. Is right down the road. Familiar in this area, which is good for a young quarterback. There's less transitioning from the off-the-field stuff. I kind of like that. He's got offensive weapons there. Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth. He's got stuff there he can develop. He's got veteran quarterbacks there that can take the load off early. I like this spot. I like this spot for all the young quarterbacks. Whoever goes to Pittsburgh at 20, or if Pittsburgh trades up for, or whatever, wherever the spot is, whoever goes to Pittsburgh, I think that might be my favorite quarterback. That might be the most likely quarterback to have the smoothest transition. And if they don't transition, or they don't at least develop into like becomes a Derek Carr or whatever, they don't develop in that type level of a quarterback. I'm not saying top tier or anything, or at least to a mid-level or low mid-level quarterback, then it just wasn't meant to be. But I like the spot for Kenny Pickett, but I can say that for every quarterback. I can say him how. I can say that for Matt Corral. I can say that for anybody. Let's move on down to the next one. Christian Watson to the Packers. More and more mocks I do, the more I see Christian Watson matched with the Packers in mock drafts. That's all right. Good size, adjusted athleticism, good short area quickness, small school FCS player. The transitioning process might take longer than expected. Rodgers doesn't really marinate with his wide receivers in year 1, so you may be able to catch him at a discount in year 2 in your Dynasty League, so you may want to think about that going forward. Christian Watson going to the Packers is going to elevate his draft stock. A lot of people are going to be drafting in the first rounds of rookie drafts. Now we're seeing Treylon Burks at 23 to the Cardinals. Talked about this a few times. This is a likely scenario. He's been mocked there. A bunch of drafts. And I feel like DeAndre Hopkins carrying the torch right now and handing it over to Treylon Burks when it's all said and done. You got Rondale Moore there. Hyper athletic, super athlete. I feel like this is a good transitioning for the wide receiver core. I think this is a good spot with Burks. Also, you got Kyler Murray there. Just a lot of good things happening here. Christian Kirk's gone, so some of those targets got to go somewhere. Those vacation targets got to go. And Treylon Burks could get some opportunity early in his career in Arizona, earlier than expected even. Moving on down. Dallas defense, Buffalo defense. Jahan Dotson to Tennessee. Low volume passing offense. A.J. Brown's still there. A.J. Brown's going to command a large portion of the passing targets. Derrick Henry, as long as he's still there, as long as he's still kicking, they're going to run the offense through him as well. I just do not see enough volume to make him a high-end fantasy asset in this situation. He's just not a guy that can take over an offense. I think he's a top-tier slot receiver. I think he'd be a really good slot receiver. Slot plus, maybe a little bit on the outside as well. I'm not trying to discount him. I just do not see this being the best situation for his abilities for fantasy purposes. I think he can be a very good asset for this team. I think he can be very good from a football standpoint. Maybe even give us low-end wide receiver 2 production, or at least be in that wide receiver 2 bubble where he pops on and off depending on matchups, depending on what happens with this team. But I feel like the upside is capped here, mainly because A.J. Brown's a dog, and unless he goes, it ain't happening when it comes to his upside being reached. Moving on down to the next pick. Kansas City going defense. All right, we got to trade up. Jets move up to get a center. That is the big trade here in the first round. Defense from the Detroit Lions. So round 2 coming up. Not the sexiest draft so far. Still not sexy. Still going slow for you guys so you guys can see all the picks. Here we are. Breece Hall to the Jets. This kills Michael Carter. He's going to be free falling. I feel like this would make him a little bit of a buy in Dynasty. He's going to be free. You're going to get him with 3rd and 4th round rookie picks probably because everyone's expecting Breece Hall to take over. I mean, he is the RB7 in ADP right now over at DynastyLeagueFootball.com. I do not see him falling from that, even going to the Jets. Him and Drake London from this draft. Good weapons for Zach Wilson. If you're seeing Zach Wilson getting these weapons, are you buying him in Dynasty? Let me know in the comments. This is a very interesting scenario here. You're getting some good prospects for him. Breece Hall, I feel like, no matter where he goes, I feel like I'm still buying. He's still going to be the 101. I'm not moving on from him, especially when I look at this pool of running backs. What else am I going to do? I look at the wide receivers. I could trade back and acquire picks if I wanted to and just take the best out of the big 3 or trade back a little farther, maybe get me Jameson Williams, see what happens. But all in all, if I got the 101, I'm looking for Breece Hall. I look for him to rise in value. I think he'll be higher than the RB7 by mid to late summer anyways because of the attrition at running back. People are going to start looking at the ages of these players. I think Breece Hall is going to be a very good value. I think the 101 is a good value still in rookie drafts. Move on down here. Defense for Bears. Quarterback Desmond Renner for the Seahawks. I think this is an interesting spot for him. Depending on what's going to happen with DK Metcalf, this team is flipping on its head. They are rebuilding, retooling. They're re-something. We got Drew Lock there. We'll have Ritter there in this scenario. DK Metcalf hasn't been dealt yet, so we can just pretend he's there, I guess. He's got someone to throw the ball to. Lockett's still there, hasn't been traded yet. A lot of things going on with his team. Situational standpoint, from a dynasty perspective, since this team's in flux, you might be able to catch Ritter at a discount. Might be going back in the second round of your rookie drafts again in Superflex. That price point I like, because these quarterbacks in this draft aren't the greatest. I feel like if you can get them for a cheaper price point, always good. And his rushing ability is something I want to tap into, especially at a cheaper price point. Moving on down here. Defense for Seattle. O-line for the Colts. Defense for Falcons. George Pickens to the Commanders. This makes more sense compared to all the other wide receivers mocked to the Commanders, the football team, the Redskins, whatever they are, the burgundy and golds, the red tails, the hogettes. George Pickens, Terry McLaurin. That's a good match. That's a good match. You got McLaurin with the speed on the outside, and you got the size, you got the ball skills, you got the assertiveness of George Pickens on the other side. You got Curtis Samuel doing Curtis Samuel things. That's a good situation here. I think George Pickens could thrive here. I think this is a low-key spot. I think this will allow him to not shoot up boards. And I think this could allow us to get him at that late first, maybe early second round price tag. It's got me kind of excited because I believe in the talent, and I believe he has just a good enough situation he can thrive, and I think this is just good enough. I think Terry McLaurin is going to take some pressure off. Curtis Samuel, this team is going to be a good fit for him. He'll at least be a good role player in the NFL. He'll at least hold some value in Dynasty for a while, and you're going to get him at a discount, I bet. Fantasy gamers are not keen on the Commanders right now. Move on down in this draft. Let's see where we're going. Matt Corral to the Saints. And we were talking about the quarterback position when Jameson Williams got drafted to the Saints in the first round. Now we got Matt Corral. He is probably my favorite quarterback in this draft, mainly because of Corral. But I like how he slings the rock. I like his mobility. I like this price tag too, 49 overall, which means his price tag is going to be very palatable in Dynasty. They're going to allow him to transition behind Jameis Winston. That's interesting. They got Jameson Williams in this draft. Michael Thomas is still there. His team's rebuilding, retooling. They can manipulate the cap. However, the cap's going to end up getting them. That's going to be an interesting thing in the future. But the discount in a Superflex league that you'll get for Corral is going to be fun. It's going to be worth the price of admission just to see what happens. And that's what I'm all about in Superflex in this year's draft, is getting those cheap quarterbacks. Moving on down, and Sky Moore to the Chiefs. Wheels up if this happens. Wheels up if Sky Moore goes to the Chiefs, because he's going to be a big-time fantasy asset, at least as a speculative fantasy asset, because a lot of people are going to be buying in. He's already getting a lot of chatter in the social media space right now. A lot of people like him. Good short area quickness, good route running, and good suddenness coming out of his breaks. I think this is a great fit for him. I think how the offense runs, I think this is perfect for him and the team. I think this is a sweet match. I feel like the upside's there. I feel like the value is going to be high. So if you're really in love with it, you better pay the piper, because that's the only way you're going to get them. Let's move on down. John Metchi to the Steelers. So Kenny Pickett gets another weapon. They get another wide receiver to add to this core. They lost Juju, and they want talent at the wide receiver position. They also need more talent since they just got a quarterback. You get a quarterback. You pay for a quarterback, even if you already got receivers, you try and get more. You try to smooth out that developmental process as much as possible. John Metchi going this high in draft does not surprise me at all. I think him going to the Steelers, though, is really going to cap his upside. Deontay Johnson's the man right now. Pat Freiermuth is going to earn target share. Najee Harris gets target share. Chase Claypool's getting deep balls. How's John Metchi going to fit? Feel like he's going to be cheap in rookie drafts nonetheless. Green Bay gets another wide receiver, and Alec Pierce, getting them some athleticism for the outside. Alec Pierce is going to go up in price in rookie drafts. Second rounder nonetheless. Maybe sneaking the first by some people. Some people are banging the drum on him. I've seen it. But he's not going to get out of the second round, especially with second round draft capital in the real NFL draft. Am I buying? Not buying him over George Pickens. I want to see where Justin Ross goes. I want to see where David Bell goes. If they fall out of the third, that's going to be interesting. But Alec Pierce here could be a sneaky play or could be a trap play, depending on how you look at it. Let me know in the comments. Moving on down. See what we got next. And Kenneth Walker to the Bills. I feel like this is another perfect match. Kenneth Walker doesn't have many receptions on his career, so he's going to go to a team that's not going to throw it to the running back much, because Josh Allen loves the deep ball. They're going to use him between the tackles, around the goal line. They're probably going to use him a lot. He is going to be the guy, especially if they're going to pay up. This team's going to keep the chains moving, which is huge for a running back. I'm sure he'll get some dump offs. I'm sure he's not going to be dead in a receiving game. I bet you this is going to shoot up his draft capital in rookie drafts. 1 QB, he's going to be 102, 103. Superflex, 102, 103. He's going to be behind Breece Hall nonetheless. And there may be some people taking him 101. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. You're talking Breece Hall Jets, Kenneth Walker Bills. You will be surprised. There will be people flipping the Walker as 101 over Hall just because of the situation. I preach talent over situation, and the situations for either player isn't enough to impact the ranking. However, I like Kenneth Walker, and especially in this situation because this is a team that can keep the chains moving, which will give him opportunities. Moving on down, how much more of this draft we got? We get another player. Chiefs draft another wide receiver, Jalen Tolbert from South Alabama. Said it before, he's one of my favorite small school athletes. He looked good at the Senior Bowl, and I feel like this is another good option here for the Chiefs if this happens. It's also an indicator that he may pop up in the second round or early third round or something like that. Jalen Tolbert, I like him. I was hoping to get him like third or fourth round rookie drafts. If he goes to the Chiefs, that ain't happening. Especially in those leagues where people aren't studying really hard, not those top tier leagues. If they see someone going to the Chiefs, they're going to pull the trigger a little early, especially somebody with second round draft capital. I like Jalen Tolbert, though, a lot for a small school player. The Cincinnati Bengals get Greg Dulcich, tight end from UCLA. Think this is a good fit. Joe Burrow getting another weapon. Will this amount to fantasy production? You know what? For a tight end, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. And the fact that he's getting a quarterback that can sling the rock accurately downfield, who's aggressive, that's more than enough for me. I feel like he has the chance to be the starting TE early in his career, as long as he develops. Am I buying? It really depends on where the skilled players land for me. I do not pay up for tight ends in rookie drafts. I usually like to buy them cheaper, like a year or two later, with a second round rookie pick when they're veterans and I can see how they're transitioning. But he's on the Bengals, and I preach buying Bengals, so I might bump him up a couple spots just to see. And at 64 here, we have Trey Mcbride going to the Broncos to finish up this second round. Him and Russ cooking, and the fact that he goes here makes this an interesting spot at the tight end because you got Albert O there, got rid of Noah Fant, and Mcbride and Albert O. Dynasty gamers are going to have a conundrum with that. I feel like Mcbride might slip a little bit in the draft. If that happens, I'm going to be buying him at a discount. If he falls to the third, I'll buy him, depending on where's he at. If he goes in the second, it might be a little too high. We just got to see. I do like this spot, though, for him. I think it's sneaky. I think it's a sneaky good spot, especially if it develops with the team. But if they're really sold on Albert O, then I don't really see him making this pick. But with this draft, we're just pretending if it happens. If this happens and he falls a little bit in rookie drafts, I'll be buying just to get him. And that's it for this second round rookie mock draft. So let me know who you want on your team, who you liked from this draft, who's overvalued, who's not. Just let me know in the comments. But I want to thank you for watching the show, sticking with me. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Every subscription matters. And I'll catch you next time.